So I should start the show from now on. That was invigorating. I can't do it again. It would be too mimic. Speaking of doing it again, recording Josh has warnings. What warning?
It says something about a delay. It says keep your browser in focus.
Huh. So that happened last time. The last time we used this site and I quit using it was because when we try to line our tracks up, it would have a delay. It'd be off.
Oh, maybe that's it.
Yeah.
I didn't keep. I was on my notes here.
Yeah, I don't know.
And it was like, it's delayed.
You can't there's no way to podcast in 2024. There's zero ways. There's zero ways to do this successfully. It used to be as easy as you turn on a mic and you recorded and it was just audio and that's all there was to it. And originally you all had to be in the same room. It was a special thing to have Skype and I remember when we first started doing podcasts with Skype, it was like the person on Skype could hear themselves, and so it was like ultra confusing. So then you had to figure out how to mix minus out the Skype. Nowadays, everybody's got to record 1080p on both ends. You got to record your audio on both ends, and then they have to sync up right. And apparently, if their browser's not in focus, then it gives you a delay. There's no way. Podcasting is it's impossible. You have to have a full studio. We've got to be freaking Critical Role if we want to do a podcast these days. It just because
contract out Joe Rogan here.
You can't go back to the old way. If we could go back to just doing audio, I would go back to that. But people don't expect that. They expect you to have video, And I'm not gonna lie. Now that I'm a little addicted to it now that we do the video thing. So I enjoy doing it that way. But what I'm getting at, the whole point of we're redoing episode 49. This is episode 49 second edition because we did the first edition and I only recorded one side of it. I had all your beautiful video, but we couldn't
agree on the rules, so we had to make another edition.
Yeah. Oh, podcasting is gonna kill me. It's gonna be the death of me. So we had a comment, episode. I want to say episode before last, but it was actually the last episode. If you're a listener,
yeah.
For Josh and I, it's episode before last because we recorded an episode that got ruined. But we got a comment saying, "I can't. This is completely unlistenable because I listen with only one ear pod in." And for whatever reason, that episode, you were only in one ear and I was in the other.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. That was not intentional.
Yeah.
To that person that left the comment, you had a right to complain. That was completely involuntary. We don't know what happened. It just came out that way. And the expectation was, we're going to do another episode right after it. So, we'll all just move on with our lives. And the next episode will be perfectly fine. Well, we got together to record the next episode. You would have loved to have Josh in one ear because it turned out I didn't record Josh at all. We didn't have any Josh. It was just me in both ears and no Josh, was just one side of the conversation. So we're doing this again. We're trying it again. Some of the show notes in this episode are old because they're
but they're new to you, so
yeah, and
that's what you need to focus on.
And these show notes were new when I wrote them, so this is just the way it is. This is how it goes. Hello and welcome to episode 49 of the Crowbar Kernel Panic podcast, your favorite tech, gaming, and Linux podcast. This episode was pre-recorded twice, by the way, but will be released on YouTube, iTunes, and podcast platforms. Please like, rate, review, comment, subscribe, whichever platform you prefer. And we had some great comments last week. I'm not reading them again. I appreciate all you guys' comments. To the one guy,
we need 2 likes and we need 2 comments from everyone because of
that's right.
This is technically 2 episodes you're getting.
Copy and paste. Leave a comment and then copy and paste it again. Because that's basically what we're doing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyway, this episode we're going to be talking about Ubuntu 24.04 and the sort of the differences in it and previous versions of Ubuntu. They're kind of leaning heavily into the YAML configuration side of things. They have a new YAML configuration as part of their installer. I think that's really cool. And I was tempted to install it today before the show, which you did. I didn't. I'm still running Nabara, which I love. This is great.
I mean, technically, I just have it on like an external SSD, so it's not really installed.
See, I can never do. I have to go all in or not at all. I can't do the installing on another drive thing because I know I'll never use it.
If this was Fedora, I probably would have been like, all right, I'll do it. But
yeah,
it's not. I learned that very quickly.
I'm tempted to try it out, and maybe we could do an episode Ubuntu 24.04 gaming edition. It's just right now Nabara's too good. I don't want to risk it. I don't want to switch to anything else.
Your story. Oh man, your story with the episode that we lost, man, was really good.
Yeah, I couldn't possibly recap it, but the short answer is, whenever you have a good thing going on Linux, just don't shake it up.
Yeah,
no. Yeah, you got a good thing working, just keep it. Yeah, don't change it. Also have a pretty interesting little application that I want to talk about. The Steam Deck has GeForce NOW. Net neutrality updates. That was a bizarre one to jump out there in 2024. We're still talking about the net neutrality situation. And then if we have time, we're also going to talk about some game development that we're both kind of working on, different projects that we might discuss in the show. So I think this will be a pretty good episode. I cut out the things that I thought we just couldn't possibly relive. You know, that's like the worst thing is like you re-record a podcast episode and you have to like fake the whole natural, like there's just no way we could do the same reaction twice on some of the show topics we had. So let's get through it so we can get back on track for next week. Before we get into any of that though, just before the show, we kind of looked up, we were looking up some information on the new MSI news story, which actually led to an Intel news story. So even though it's not in the show notes and we've like take this with a grain of salt, we're literally learning about this now as we discuss it. But it kind of was so intriguing, and you and I were talking about it enough that I kind of said, hey, let's hit record. Let's just hit record and start doing the episode. Otherwise, we're going to lose some of this like natural reaction to this. But we haven't studied this, so take it with a grain of salt. But MSI goes full team green, declaring its focus on NVIDIA RTX graphics card, with AMD models now vanishing from shelves. So this news article came up because I had heard the rumor that MSI was no longer making Radeon cards. And this article here, according to Tech Radar, seems to confirm that suspicion. Hardware Unboxed posted on Twitter, did I miss a story? MSI has been completely removed from AMD's Radeon 7000 series. All existing products have been discontinued, and they never released a 770 XT or 7800 XT. This all seems to have happened very quickly. So MSI seems to be stepping away from Radeon cards.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't. I do understand and I don't understand. I don't understand because Radeon cards, they're not as good as, I shouldn't say not as good. They don't sell as well as NVIDIA cards as far as what I can see, but they still sell well enough.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of budget builds out there got some Radeon cards. A lot of Linux gamers have Radeon cards because the support was always so much better with Radeon. That's like a historically well-known thing amongst the Linux gaming community. Although I've never had a Radeon card. I don't know why. it's kind of like once you kind of get one thing, you kind of stick with it because of the way the upgrade cycle works. And usually whenever a new set of graphics cards come out, like whatever comes out in 2024, NVIDIA is going to be better than Radeon. That's almost a given. I think there's been very few times where that wasn't true. But that's not the way real people shop. Like, that's the way hardware reviewers shop on YouTube. But like real people, they're not buying the latest graphics card to go in their PC. And if you're looking at it from that perspective, you can get a Radeon card with the same, possibly even better performance for a lot cheaper than a comparable NVIDIA card. And so Radeon always kind of held that sort of niche of the market. Yeah, MSI is apparently stepping away from that, at least temporarily, to focus on creating NVIDIA graphics cards.
Yeah, and another weird like tidbit to that is I saw where they actually made an Intel card, a graphics card, which doesn't make any sense. It was in like 2022, or in 2022 it said. So I'm like, okay, so why even make one of them if you're getting out of the game altogether? I mean, I guess that was 2 years ago, but still.
So that was the 77, right? They made
No, it was one of the weaker, Intel cards. But like, it was so weird. It's like, oh yeah, we're just gonna make this random weird, low end.
That
Intel
is really
card
bizarre.
Yeah.
Because if it was,
like, I guess we'll test it, see how it goes.
Oh, it's one of the ARC cards, but it's the A380.
Yeah, that's what it was. The A380. Yep.
Huh. That is an interesting choice. I would have thought, if anything, it would have been the A770.
Point. If they're getting out of AMD, they're not going to do Intel. They're not, because.
Yeah, it seems like if
they do, it's like got to be like a bad deal or something with AMD on the, between them two.
I wonder if this article has any speculation on that, because I'm kind of skimming through the article as we're talking about it, because again, we just saw this before we went live. My speculative hope would be that they would be leaning heavily into the Intel graphics cards, that MSI is just seeing so far in the future that they're like, these Intel cards are going to blow everyone out of the water, and so we better get in on these fast. And part of that project is backing off of AMD and focusing just on Intel and NVIDIA in the short term, Intel in the long term, baby. But there's no speculation of that in this article, and I think that is just a pipe dream of mine. They've not even tried to make. I don't even see a RK770 on their website. So it looks like
I didn't see one either. I tried looking.
It looks like they probably have just given up on that dream, and they're just focusing on an NVIDIA. It's probably just a situation of they had to find, companies right now are like cutting, and this is probably just their way of saying, hey, if we can only invest in one or the other, I guess we'll put all our eggs
aren't good enough
in this basket. Yeah.
Yep.
But that brought on the topic of Battlemage, the new ARC GPUs. And so in looking up, just out of curiosity, what's the old Battlemage? What's the old ARC next-gen Battlemage doing? And apparently there's some rumors of delays. This is according to WCCFtech.com. This is the first article that came up. It says, Intel taking a step back on ARC GPUs, ? Battlemage XE2 and Celestial XE3 GPUs reportedly delayed. And this is all based on a apparently reputable leaker with a hilarious name, Golden Pig Upgrade Package. Why doubt him, with a name like that?
Don't install that on your Linux distro.
According to Golden Pig Upgrade Package 1988, there is no trace of Battlemage at all. There will be no DG3 next year. So according to this article, Mr. Pig Upgrade Package has in the past been correct in their leaks and is a somewhat reputable source. It's been accurate countless occasions when it comes to his Intel and AMD mobility leaks. In the latest series of posts, he talks about Intel's plan regarding the next-gen ARC GPU family, which will include Battlemage and Celestial. The Intel Battlemage XE2 GPUs will be a major part of the next-generation Lunar Lake Core Ultra 200V. See, there's so many acronyms in this sentence, which are expected to debut later this year with wider availability planned later in 2024. We have already seen leaks of these chips with way faster performance than Alchemist and Alchemist Plus chips, which point out the use of the upgraded graphics architecture. This is still XE2 LPG or mobile version on the architecture. Okay, I don't know what they're talking about in there, but essentially there's lots of evidence that they're working on this code for these products, but there's an expected delay. Now, some speculation is that the delay is not in the desktop GPUs, but in the integrated graphics GPUs, which I got to be frank, I don't really care about.
Yeah, I mean,
they could be they could be as late as they want with that. I don't think anybody's gonna care.
Yeah, especially I just recently got a laptop with a Radeon integrated graphics.
Yeah,
and comparing that to any of the Intel, even though it's not really a very powerful one, it's like a mid range. It blows it out of the water. Like
really.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like even my gaming laptop, if I don't use the NVIDIA graphics, it still beats that, and it's like a a workstation desktop. It's like it's not a very basically something your work would hand you.
So yeah, I don't care if the integrated graphics is delayed. The actual physical cards, I don't know who's out there talking about Intel graphics cards yet. I see some Linux reviewers talking about it. Most of what I see are all like either videos saying that they're awful or videos saying like, oh, they're actually better than I thought. Like I don't see any videos of people saying, man, this is like amazing. The next generation of graphics cards, Intel is going to blow everybody out of the water. But I think that it's also kind of, I think that there's a problem with reviews, because if you're looking up graphics cards reviews on YouTube, which is how most people, that's how almost everybody consumes reviews of graphics cards, and those reviewers are comparing a $300 graphics card or $370 to a $1,000. You know what I mean? Like it's like, that's an impossible comparison. But as somebody that is like just purchasing for a gaming PC, just like we were saying earlier, just like a regular person, I think that they're gonna get an ARC card for a lot cheaper than an NVIDIA card, and it's probably
for better specs. Maybe not more power, but like more RAM.
Yeah,
like,
more RAM.
Like mine has 16 gigs of RAM.
Yeah.
You can't get a card for the same price with 16 gigs of RAM from NVIDIA.
No, that's exactly what I mean. And to most people, they're not gonna. There are some minute differences because a company like NVIDIA has been doing this for so long, and gaming companies also develop on their platform, and so like there are going to be some minute details that even with, if you had more RAM on an Intel card versus less RAM on an NVIDIA, there's situations where the NVIDIA is going to do better at certain things just because it was kind of tailor-made for that. But it's such a minute difference. And I don't think that reviewers on YouTube are reviewing it in that way. And I think that because most people sort of like take the approach of, well, I'm going to watch a reviewer and see what the best card is, not really considering like, is this really the right card? Is this really the best monetary investment for me to get into a graphics card?
I know what you mean.
Yeah. So I don't know how unless Intel starts making products that actually does compete with the highest end, toasters from NVIDIA, then it's going to be hard for them to break out of, actually get that same buyer's attention. I don't know how they break or how they find their niche to their customer.
Yeah, I mean, I've been happy with my.
I love it.
I mean, it's been great, and every single update they do, it like improves the performance dramatically. I mean, enough that you notice.
Constantly getting better. Yeah. Yeah, there's an element, I will say, though, just to be the devil's advocate, there is an element of when it first came out, the drivers were awful. So
yes, it was pretty rough when they first
needed to
out.
improve. But at this point, it's a way different product than when we first bought it. Anyway, that wasn't planned. We just kind of looked into that, and I love talking graphics cards. The more we can find news like this to talk about, and I want to keep my finger on the pulse of Battlemage and Celestial. Because one, they got fantastic names for a GPU project.
Yeah.
But then two, I'm excited for these. I'm excited for these cards, and I'm excited for all the ARC cards, and I want to see more come out. And you know what? My wife built a gaming PC. Right now, she's got my old 1080 in it. Maybe she'll end up with an RK770, and I'll end up with a Battlemage or a Celestial in this bad boy. We'll see how that goes. When was the last time you had Windows installed on your desktop?
The last time, technically, like right now.
Oh, you probably have. Yeah. I have Windows. I have Windows for work, and it wasn't that long ago that I had Windows for video editing, and I basically was only using Linux for gaming. And in some ways, I'm still that way because my wife's PC is Windows. So if I really needed to use Windows for something, I still could. I still have the back door over there. Well, the most annoying thing about modern Windows 11, is that you're constantly getting advertisements.
Yep.
And we as Linux users, this is our biggest complaints. This is why you should step away from using Windows, is because they're constantly going to ask you, are you sure you don't want to use iCloud? Are you positive that you don't want to use a Microsoft account? Are you really sure that you don't want these 12 Microsoft family packages that we don't even know what they do, but you want them,
Sign
right?
this here. I promise it won't be for your firstborn.
Yeah, this Microsoft Office for 1 year for $599. That sounds good, doesn't it? How about $9.99 a month? So I found an application that I thought was interesting enough and listeners of our show might like enough that I put it in. It's called OFGB. Oh, frick, go back. In the show notes, I have a link to their GitHub page. But this is an independent project by one developer, X Maddie, who made this product. Oh, frick, go back. And basically, you install it on your Windows PC, and then it gives you the ability to disable the File Explorer ads, the lock screen tips and ads, disable the settings ads, disable general tips and ads, the finish setup ads, the welcome experience ads. That's the one I was talking about. I was get hassled by the welcome experience.
Yep.
The personalized ads, which does Windows have personalized ads in the OS? Like
I don't remember. I don't know. Well, so this is my problem. Is I don't run Windows like
home
stock Windows. I have a couple of scripts I use to get rid of a lot of that stuff already.
Okay. Yeah. So you're the,
I don't really know.
So you're probably the target audience for the oh frick go back.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna use this. Well, at least I'm gonna see if there's anything I need to get rid of.
We have one copy of Windows in the house that kind of shuffles around different PCs. We're totally breaking the key. The key's supposed to only be used once or whatever. And it's a pro version. And so I'm wondering if I don't see the ads because it's a pro version. But if you have like the home edition.
I don't think so, because even when I used to work desktop support, we still saw the ads even in the enterprise edition of Windows.
I see the Windows experience ads like whenever they're like trying to get you to do a Microsoft product, but when I'm disable personalized ads, that sounds to me
I don't know.
That sounds to me like in your start menu they'll advertise, like if you
like socks.
Yeah, like socks and scarves and stuff. Yeah, exactly. Like stuff you've been looking up. And that is, if that is a thing, that is wild. Let me Google that. If that is a thing,
I don't know. And okay, so I literally, to install Ubuntu, I had to go onto Windows and whatever. When I was on there, I have my updates blocked for like a week or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It was updating while I had that blocker set to wait for a week. So I don't put it past the ad situation.
In response to application laws in California and other U.S. states, Microsoft will provide customers with a new setting that will allow them to choose whether they really do. What version of Windows are people seeing this? I swear I've never seen a personalized ad in Windows itself.
I haven't either. Even for the short period of time I've used, before I run the script or anything, I've never seen a personalized ad. Definitely not on the Enterprise Edition. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, that is crazy. But yeah, I'm seeing enough evidence here that this is a thing. So all the more reason that I need to use Linux.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking about this as we were talking about the oh frick go back. It's like Windows is the thing you need to like remove things from, and Linux is the thing you need to add stuff to.
That's exactly right. That is a perfect analogy, because your bad times on Linux is always because like, oh, I didn't know that I needed that codec pack. Like I didn't know that I needed that kernel module enabled or something.
And Windows is like, here's an ad for something you didn't even look up.
Every time you install Windows, you uninstall things afterwards. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, so frick could go back. Apparently, adverts, personal ads is a real thing. I knew that they advertised other Microsoft products.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they have like random ads and stuff. And I've never seen an ad in File Explorer either. That's new to me.
Yeah, dude, this is wild.
I wonder if it's like unlicensed versions of Windows that they're doing this.
Oh, maybe. That's interesting. Yeah.
Like I wonder if they're like gearing up to get rid of the like update or activate Windows like splash little, the little, what I'm trying to say, that little icon that's on the thing. I wonder if they're going to get rid of that at some point and like just throw ads like crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, that's wild. I've always heard people talk about ads in Windows, and I've always secretly kind of been like, I ain't never seen an ad. But I only have my corporate, like it's not on my work PC,
No, yeah, there's nothing on my work PC.
So, frick, go back, which is what I wish we could do. We could go back and re-record that podcast.
Yeah, we need an application for time. We need a time machine.
I don't want to keep bringing that up the whole episode, but it does feel like we're talking about stuff a second time, and it's just not the same. Ubuntu 24.04. So Ubuntu 24.04 released the Noble Numbat. Dude,
yeah.
There's so many animals in the world, and I know that they got to do the whole letter and alliteration thing.
Yep.
But they're trying to be obtuse. Like the next one has got a crazy name too, and they're just trying so hard now to find like obtuse animals and alliterations. But this one is the Noble Numbat, and so there's some.
I like it for a name.
You actually installed it. What is before I go over? I pointed out some key features there, but what is your first impressions? You've had it for all of about 2 hours now. How does it feel?
So I will say I'll start with something good.
Yeah.
The new installer is absolutely fantastic.
That's the thing that I'm most impressed about. The new installer looks really cool.
And it works. It doesn't like if you put a check mark and then get rid of that check mark, it doesn't continue to install whatever you accidentally hit.
Oh, was that a thing?
Because I tested that. Oh yeah, like well for me,
yeah.
If I hit the check mark to install NVIDIA,
you just start over. You're like, oh crap.
Yeah, I just start over because it'll have them in there. I'm like, what the heck? I unchecked that. But anyway,
that's funny.
So yeah, and I did even a manual install with the new installer with manual partitioning.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
That worked fine. That was good. They actually kind of made it a little more streamlined where it'll give you a little thing at the bottom that says where do you want to install the EFI partition.
Oh yeah.
And it'll give you a list of disks. Unlike Windows, which will just randomly pick whatever one it can find first.
Yep. Yep. Picks the one that it thinks is the bootloader.
So that was definitely an improvement. I like that. Yeah, I mean the installer was great. But I got into it, and I was like, okay, so there's a couple things I need before the podcast. I need Bitwarden for all my passwords. I need Firefox to be signed into so I can get all my crap together.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, all right, I'll install Bitwarden. So I go to the App Center. I'm like, oh, there's some updates for some Snap applications here. I'm going to just click on that quick and whatever. Oh, also, they do updates during the install. I don't know if that's because it's so close to release that there's no updates, or they do them during the install. So I'm not 100% on that, but there was no updates when I got into the system other than the 2 Snap applications. But anyway, when I went to go update them, it gave me an error, and it's like, I can't do this basically because it was trying to update the App Center, And I was using the App Center to try to update it, and it just kind of was like, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't want to close myself.
That's funny.
So I had that, and then I'm like, okay, whatever. So then I went to the command line. I did a snap refresh that fixed that problem. It updated them. Then I went to install Bitwarden.
Yeah.
And first off, my keyboard wouldn't work with it. I couldn't type in my password or anything like that. So I'm like, okay. So I closed it, opened it back up. Then it started working. I'm like, okay. So I do all that. And then I get to the authentication, where it sends you a code, whatever, yada, yada.
Yeah.
It would not work for the life of me. It kept saying error, error, error. I'm like, I've never had this happen. That's the first time I've ever had that happen to me.
Oh, this is on Bitwarden?
Yeah, on Bitwarden.
How did you install Bitwarden?
I installed it through the App Center.
As a snap or as a...
I don't know. It didn't really say. I'm assuming it was a deb.
I would
not. There's a little drop down. Well, there's a little drop down.
Yeah. Did you pick deb in the drop down?
There was no, it didn't say what it was. It just said stable.
Oh.
So I don't know what it was. I should have checked actually while I'm here. Let me
Yeah, cuz you should be able to see snap and deb.
Yeah.
I'm sure it installed a snap. If it didn't ask, it installed a snap.
Yep, you're right. It was a snap. So I guarantee
that's why it didn't work.
That was the issue.
Yeah.
Because snaps freaking never work. Like the Firefox snap works great now because they put all their effort into Firefox.
What people will use. and also, that's like that Bitwarden snap is maintained by, someone from Bitwarden. This is the same with the Debian
I don't even
package.
know. I don't know if it is or not. I didn't really look into that.
I just know that the issue that you're describing sounds like kind of like it's got something to do with containerization, and if it didn't ask you, then it was probably a snap. And
yeah, I didn't even think. To be honest, I didn't even think about that.
So
but
how did you get your passwords?
How
did you get? Did you use?
So I actually just went to the web.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say.
I just went to the web because I always default to that if something doesn't work because that just works.
You should be able to change. All right. If there's a Debian package available, you should be able to change it to the deb in the drop down instead of the snap.
Right, if there is in the repository, but I don't think there is. Now, I think there is a deb version to install, but you can't just download it and install it. You have to use dpackage to actually install it because you can't install through the GUI.
Really?
Deb packages. Yeah, they won't let you. You can't double click on them or anything. The new App Center just doesn't work like that.
Why does it even have the drop down to give you the deb?
So the deb packages if
it's not in, it doesn't come up in the App Center.
But if it's not in there and you have to download it from the website.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But now that I'm thinking about it, I think Bitwarden does an app image. I don't think they actually do a.
They probably do a flat
RPM.
pack, and they probably have all of them.
They have a flat pack. I know that. But, of course, I wanted to do the Ubuntu
Oh,
thing.
yeah. If you're trying Ubuntu, which in Ubuntu, you use snaps. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say the Firefox snap has improved immensely. I'm using it right now. Everything's fine. I signed in. It's great. It starts up quick.
I haven't used a snap in years. Even whenever I've installed Ubuntu
me neither. This is the first time in a while.
Reason. Yeah.
I'm scared to use the Steam Snap because everyone says it's garbage.
Oh no!
So I kind of want to install it.
They said they officially said they're not going to maintain it, right?
Steam, no, they're not. Or Valve's not going to maintain it. No, Ubuntu's got to do it all because they're like, nope, don't want nothing to do with Snap.
I'm just old school. I'm still suspicious of flat packs. Even I know that we've talked on the show many times about how we've chosen flat pack over Snap, but to me that still is like plan B. I don't like using flat packs. And
anytime I've tried,
no, I'm wondering if we're just old fogies and we need to
I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a second because anytime I've tried to use just flat packs, all right, this time I'm going all flat packs. This is going to be great, wonderful, whatever.
Yeah.
I install everything as a flat pack. 50% of it either has issues or doesn't work. And I'm just like, what the heck? And it's not like I shouldn't say it doesn't work. I should say it doesn't work as it does as an RPM or a deb package. There'll be something off. It'll be like a theme that's wrong, or like with the snap with Bitwarden, the auth doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's always something, man.
something hilarious just dawned on me. Something hilarious just dawned on me. Last week, I used the flat pack for OBS.
Oh no. Oh man.
Which is why we did. That could be why your audio didn't record.
Yep. and it's like, and the thing is like I don't believe they're bad. I don't believe snaps or flat packs are bad. I think they're just too containerized, and like they're just not talking with the system enough to actually function properly.
I think what happened with the OBS situation was I didn't have my desktop audio set as like a recordable device in OBS.
Yeah.
So it was recording my mic and not my desktop audio, which is how I was listening to you.
Right.
And
it could have been that, or it could have been a permission issue.
Yeah, it could have been permissions within the flat pack.
So you don't really know until you the first thing I download is Flat Seal. That'll be the first thing I download because that allows you to,
I don't
change all
know,
the
man.
But anyway, sorry.
No, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I'm team flat pack, but really that just means I'm
RPM, baby.
Yeah. RPM all day long. Yeah, I don't know. I think we're old fogies. I think that's what it is.
I don't know. I can't get it to work, man, most of the time. It just like even Steam, which they actually put effort into Steam as a flat pack. I've had issues with that, especially when it comes to like installing specifically Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah.
Like that, a lot of times where it installs is like it will not see it at all. Like, you know how we had the issue where it will like show the drive as being
that was real common. Yeah. Is that still going on?
The fix for that, for the deb and the RPM is not the fix for Flatpak.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, you have to like go into Flat Seal and add an extra, or allow the directory to write, for it to write to the directory.
I think that where I feel comfortable with flat packs is if I'm installing something that is like completely encapsulated and doesn't use anything like outside of itself. So like I've used Flatpak to install DaVinci Resolve one time, which because I couldn't, DaVinci Resolve is like a total like crapshoot for me. It seems like on some installations I go to install it and it works fine. Some installations it's like I got to jump through a billion hoops to get it to work, and it ends up just not being worth it. That's actually why I had Windows on another hard drive for a long time, was because I couldn't get it to work and I was having to use Adobe. There was one time I got it to work on a flat pack, and in that scenario, it doesn't feel like it's like reaching out to anything else. Like everything is contained within that application, except for it has to use your audio device to play back audio, but it doesn't really use much, like I guess outside of that. And so in a situation like that, then it makes sense. But like with OBS, it has to use a lot of stuff to connect to, and even it has to connect to your network. And then like you're saying in this situation where it has to do this authentication message, I don't know. It feels like there's like an extra layer there of things that could get messed up,
Yep. No, I agree.
But the promise is that like, okay, well you build it and then you deploy it, and it should be the same no matter what system you're deploying it on, because it has everything it needs within this encapsulation.
It's the same. It just doesn't work on everything now. honestly, I bet uniformly that authentication doesn't work on any. Probably not. If I use the snap of any of it, it probably wouldn't.
That's hilarious.
Or maybe it's just Linux fashion and it'll just work on one system but not another, and you'll install it twice on one system. One time it'll work, one time it won't.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying. That's why I'm saying at the beginning of the show, you get something that works, just don't rock the boat.
Yeah, just stick with it, man.
Yeah. Ubuntu.
One other thing I can add, I'll end on a good note, is the theming that they have right now is excellent.
It looks really nice.
I love Ubuntu's theming. I mean, it is so good.
In all fairness, it always has. Ubuntu has always been like the best looking distro.
It's been ahead of the curve most of the time. Yep.
And you look back at older Ubuntu distros and you think, God, that looks crazy. Like that looks dated, but it's just because of the time. It's at the time.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal.
Oh yeah. I remember loading it up on my Mac. My MacBook.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, this is this is really cool. Like, this is awesome. And then you go back to Mac and it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Other than the battery life.
Yeah, no, I like the look. I like the current look a lot.
And the only gripe I have at all is I don't like the fact that the minimize, the maximize, and the close is all the same color. Like, not to say that Windows is doing it right, but like I think that the close button should be red. Like that's just my personal thing because it makes it a little more pronounced that you're hitting the close button.
I'm looking at my theme right now. Mine are all the same. Mine are all the same color.
Now what are you on? Oh, you're on
Navarro, but I just had the default. GNOME.
That's the new GNOME thing. Like GNOME is doing that. Like they're all the same color and whatnot. But that's why I like KDE's.
Oh, when you mouse over, I just noticed when you mouse over, it turns red. Oh,
okay.
In Firefox, but not in this other window. So never mind.
Oh yeah. In Firefox it does, and I like that. I like that because it kind of indicates that you're on. Oh no, I don't want to hit the X button.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's just me. It's a little nitpick, but the theming otherwise, excellent. Love it.
Well, out of the list of things that I pointed out from the release notes, GNOME 46. So it's using a very modern version of GNOME. And I recently read an article about issues within GNOME 46 and icons within non-GTK compliant applications having trouble. But I didn't put it in the show notes, and I didn't study the article, so maybe it'll be something to talk about next week.
Yeah, I haven't installed anything like that, so I don't know.
It didn't seem like something we would really superly deep dive into, so I didn't put it in. But the new installer with YAML configuration, so
that's cool.
NetPlan version 1.0 is released in is in this. It was actually released a little bit ago, but is in this version of Ubuntu, and then which is a YAML configurable network tool. So you can pre-configure the way you want your, especially if you're using like Ubuntu Cloud or something, you can configure the way you want your network to be based on a YAML file, and then you can change things while the VM is live, and yet whenever you reboot the system, it will reconfigure based on that configuration. Now, on Ubuntu Desktop, I don't really know how useful it is on Ubuntu Desktop, but it spurs from their whole cloud YAML configuration process, which I really like. I like the philosophy behind that. I'm beginning
for a whole organization, it makes sense.
Yeah, I'm beginning to really like Ubuntu Cloud. Like professionally, we don't use. I've never worked anywhere that had any Ubuntu servers. It's always been Red Hat. But within Proxmox, I've been playing with Ubuntu Cloud, and I like the whole highly configurable YAML process that they have. It's pretty cool.
Oh, the next step is NixOS. Careful.
I know. I've thought about it. I have thought about it. But I have...
Or just be another podcast that just goes off on Nix.
I know. That's the thing. Is I kind of it's too cool for me. Like everybody's talking about it, so I'm kind of apprehensive to it. But yeah. There's an appeal. There's a part of it that would be appealing to me. I like that whole aspect of it. The App Center, we talked about that, and it does include Debian packages, which... There was an episode where we went over that they first announced the new App Center, and at that time you could only get snaps, and we said at the time most likely that is going to change, and it has, as you just said, you can switch to the Debian package, and then they increased their virtual memory map limit, which is a common issue, especially amongst Linux gamers, where you try to run a game that tries to use more memory than you're allowed to map on launch, and then you have to change this file.
Especially nowadays with freaking how games are. I mean, it's just you can use 8-10 gigs easy. Yeah.
So those are all good changes. I like the look of it. I'm tempted to try it, but I don't want to wipe out my current installation.
Understandable. So
we're filling up time on this episode. We're not at an hour.
Yeah, I
yet.
got to get off on my little rant there.
No, this is all good. The rants are what make the show, man. The rants are what's good. That's the part that we did rants last week, but they were different rants, So that's the part that's evergreen is the rants.
Yeah, yep.
Let's see. We have 2 more articles, and then we can either close out the show or we can talk about our development stuff. I had the idea to do a whole different, like we do an additional episode where we talk about our development stuff. But then I'm worried, like, if I don't do anything all week, then I got nothing to talk about on that, like, extra episode.
Yeah.
So the GeForce, this will go quick. The GeForce Now on the Steam Deck, I posted a video of how to set it up in the show notes. But essentially, this is a official NVIDIA installation for the Steam Deck. If you go to GeForce Now, which you may not remember what GeForce Now is. So GeForce Now, yeah. We talked about it back in the day. Yeah, we talked about it a while back. And actually, when I saw this article, I said, oh, wow, I had forgotten about that. It's a game streaming service. So you don't have a gaming PC, but you want to stream games, that are being run on some server somewhere, and it's just streaming the video of you playing the game back to you. And it takes your input and everything like that. So you're playing a game remotely, essentially. Video game remote access is what it is. Well, they have, I think this is a really good application of it. They have a version made specifically for the Steam Deck. So you have to go into desktop mode, and you have to go to the URL to install GeForce Now. But once you do that, you install a Steam Deck package of GeForce Now, which will, you can set it up as a non-Steam game within Steam, so that way you don't have to go into desktop mode every time you launch it. But whenever you launch it,
I was going to ask.
Yeah, it'll use.
I saw it here in the video here where it's like in Steam, and now I got you. I wasn't sure if you could just get it from Steam, like that'd be cool.
No, you have to go into desktop mode and install it. But then once it's installed, you can launch it as a non-Steam game. And but think about it. This is a great application because you're basically just running a browser that's streaming this data to you. It's not using the graphics in the Steam Deck like at all. And so the Steam Deck is going to have like crazy battery life based on this. You're bound to being on a Wi-Fi network, and you probably want to have like a really good Wi-Fi, like Wi-Fi 6 or something. But you're bound to a Wi-Fi network, so this will be used in your house versus on the go. But you're on a 720 resolution, and so the games are going to look nice on that resolution. Now, I wonder if some games, because I don't know how this works in GeForce Now. Is GeForce Now sending you a 1080 image scaled down to 720?
Oh, like it's doing what do they call that? Upscaling.
Is it doing downscaling?
Downscaling, downscaling.
Is it doing? So what I mean is it sending you a 1080 video that you're just watching on a smaller screen? That could feel cumbersome.
I got you.
The controls and things in the game could feel smaller than they should be. Versus, is it setting the game setting?
Oh, you're saying the format, like the format of the actual video on your.
I think the video of a 1080 video being sent to you on a small screen would look better because, like whenever you watch something on your phone, it always looks it relative to what you can see with your eyes.
Well, that's kind of what the upscaling or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That happens because they render it at 4K or whatever it might be, and it's put out on the screen at 1080. I wonder if they'll do something like that so it kind of like makes it look a little better. It's kind of like super anti-aliasing.
I'm curious how this works. On the...
Now, I can see where this would be a huge advantage, and that would be when you plug it into your TV, because then you could play up to probably 4K. 4K games on a TV. I'm sure it could easily do 4K on a stream.
I kind of want to... I don't have a Steam Deck anymore. I sold my Steam Deck. But I kind of want to get... Well, one... I sold it because I wanted to get the OLED Steam Deck. Or even if you just... I kind of want to try GeForce Now again just to see how different it is, what games they have and stuff.
The thing is GeForce Now, for me, out of ones I tested back when we did, was the best one.
I think it was the best one. I think it was... I can't remember.
I know it was. I remember
all of
by
those.
A large margin.
There was like a Google one, there was an Amazon one, and the GeForce one. And this is the only one that still exists, I'm pretty sure. I completely even forgot this was a thing. I know as soon as I sign up for it, they'll cancel it.
Even though it was good, even though it was really good, it still was not the same. It didn't feel the same as playing a game on your own system. So maybe it's improved since then.
Yeah.
Maybe those 4090s in there are working overtime.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious about this. The best way to game on the Arc A770 is on an NVIDIA graphics card somewhere in Texas running your
Someone
game for
else's
you.
NVIDIA graphics
It's on
card.
someone else's NVIDIA. Oh, God. All right, net neutrality. I don't remember the contents of this article.
I don't remember either.
Oh, man. This is so hard trying to redo a podcast you've already done. Oh, I'm getting an ad block. They don't want me to view the article unless I...
Really?
Yeah.
I have ad blocker, and I'm not getting that.
It's telling me I got to... It's telling... Or it says continue without supporting us. It let me go. It's got a...
Oh, it makes you feel bad, yeah.
It should have a crying face.
Or just let us starve. We might have to fire someone, but whatever.
You had to click on an employee to lay off before they let you go to the...
Steve, Jim, or Andrea? Who do you pick?
Yeah. Oh, God. So the U.S. Federal Communications Commission voted 3-2 on Thursday to reinstate the landmark net neutrality rules and reassume the regulatory oversight of broadband internet rescinded under the former president. So this whole scenario, I'm sure everybody remembers, it was like 2018,
Something like that, yeah.
2015. Oh my gosh, 2015.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. It was
yeah, it was
older than we thought.
It was older than I thought. So
'cause we initially thought it was like 2018, but then we're like, oh yeah.
So
no, it was older.
So the original debate was whether internet providers should be treated as utilities versus service providers. I can't remember the exact, but the idea is that they would be able to charge to pipe internet to you, but then once the internet got to you, they didn't charge based on, oh, you want the sports package or the news package. Like, they couldn't sell you a package the way they do cable TV. And there was a whole lot of other debate surrounding that. One thing I remember we talked about in the last recording of this episode was that, there was a whole like promise of, we took all this government money to build, better fiber infrastructure, and they literally just didn't do it. They just took the money and then ended up not doing that and just saying, oops, we're sorry about that. And so that was the whole part of this whole debate. And the big takeaway from our original recording of this, we're trying to relive it, so forgive us. The original takeaway of that was, I can't believe we're still like having to, like, this is still coming up.
Yeah.
There was a chance that this didn't get reaffirmed, and then it would have been up for debate again, So
we're still not even sure if this is going to be up for debate again in the future.
Oh, it will be. It will be. So what has to happen is every so often they have to they have to reaffirm it, unless it were, and I don't know enough to know how this happens, but if it were to get somehow solidified, into like law, that I don't think that's the right term, but if it were to get solidified in such a way that they don't have to keep reaffirming it, it just is. Yeah, it is a natural.
Becomes like
thing.
legislation or something like that.
So I don't know what groups are working on that or how you could get involved in that support, but I would just say we all need to just not forget about this situation.
Yeah. Because I brought this up last time we recorded, and it's crazy, but I don't think this affects this part of it, and that's the point where it's like, okay, this certain cable company will come to this point on your road, and then after that, it's another cable company. Well, at the ends of each of those cable companies, it's like the max price because you can't, get either or. You can only get one or the other, even though you're like literally the house next door or the street down the lane or whatever. Like that. I don't think this affects that, and I do believe that's another thing that needs to be
there's not enough competition in the provider market. I mean, where I live, you got two options, and one option is just obviously terrible, and the other option is a terrible company, but obviously way better service. And the price is about the same. And honestly, the one that has terrible service, they're also the ones that will like lock you in for 2 years. Like you have to sign a contract and you have to pay to get out of it if you decide to change. your terms.
Yeah, because they're afraid of you leaving because they're crap.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
They're like, you ain't gonna leave,
and
you're stuck with us.
The same company. I remember we talked about this too, but the same company that we're with now also was in our old neighborhood, and the service was not nearly as good because it was like an old neighborhood, and they always were we would try to get them to run fiber to the houses and all. It just there's just they know that there's nothing you can do, they just know that there's no competition, there's nothing you can do as a consumer, and who's going to go without internet? Like you're basically forced to go through and that's this one company to provide.
That's part of the argument too. It's like, who's gonna go? Who shouldn't say that? I shouldn't say who's not gonna go without internet. But I should say who can actually go without internet nowadays.
Yeah. No.
Like,
yeah.
If you want a job, you have to have internet.
Yeah.
If you want to do any kind of banking or anything like that, like for the most part, you need to have internet.
Yeah.
You could still go to the bank, but I mean, like, a lot of these companies won't even do checks. They do direct deposits. It's like it's kind of crazy.
I mean, I'm spoiled because I've always lived like in city, like within city limits. So I've never lived anywhere where it was just not an option. I've lived places that had bad options. But I've never lived anywhere that didn't have the option. But I know that there are places, more rural areas, where like you just don't. They just don't. They don't give you. There's no one. No matter what you're willing to pay, you can't, unless you pay so much that you can actually run fiber to your driveway. Then you just can't get internet. And
it's funny you mention that, because my one friend lives in West Virginia, which of course you can imagine does not have very good internet providers.
Yeah.
or infrastructure, I should say. And he will not. There's a place that will provide him internet, but he will not go with them because they are like 3 times the price of the place that he can get internet from. But the problem is, the place he can get internet from has a limit.
Oh, really?
Like a not a bandwidth, but a download limit. Like, you can only download so much every month.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that too. Yeah, like where you,
and it's like crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts. It's like not
he's on the list.
It's not a like at one time. It's like a
no,
for this month. This is your download.
This is your limit, and then once it's done, you get throttled.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. And he's on the list for Starlink because he's like, I'm done with this. Like, Starlink is like right in between the price range, and you're gonna get better service.
Yeah, I researched that. So this is the good thing about us re-recording this episode. When we did the first version, I had not researched it yet, and we talked about Starlink, and I said, I got to look into that. Well, I did, and it actually seems like if you're in a situation where you're trying to decide what satellite company to go with, it seems like that is the one you should choose, Starlink.
About how my parents got an RV, and like the companies for satellite were just garbage compared to Starlink and whatnot. Yeah, that's right.
So the research I did was it has a high upfront cost, right? Oh, and it's constantly changing. That's another thing too. In the review that I watched on it, they basically were like, hey, whatever I'm telling you right now is probably not going to be true 4 months from now. It's constantly changing. But right now, it's like $600 for the upfront cost because you buy your equipment. There's no renting equipment. They don't even send somebody out. They just mail you the equipment, and then,
which is a good thing.
Actually, I would rather it be that way.
It kind of sucks because you got to eat the price, but it's good in my opinion, because you own the stuff.
Yeah, and then you pay a monthly fee to connect to their service. But I think the monthly fee, after having bought the equipment, I think the monthly fee is comparable to other companies, and supposedly, it's good. I think it's comparable to non-satellite internet. Like I think it's but then they don't have a department. They have a department but it's not a large department for whenever you have problems. You basically open like a
customer
problem
service
ticket.
Is not like
they don't have like a help desk that you call and then they will get you fixed. It's like opening a ticket.
That's rough.
That there's something wrong with your service, and then a technician like contacts you or whatever. It's probably similar to. So I've had to open tickets for my car before, and I just did it on an app on my phone, and then someone contacted me, and it's probably a similar process to that. But it wasn't like when you do that with Google, and they're like, oh, someone will call you in like 5 minutes. It's like someone will call you eventually. Yeah, they'll get to it. Don't worry about it.
He's got 500 other people to call today, okay? Calm down.
So, yeah, it's probably something similar to that. But, yeah, so the only thing I could think is, like, you know, I live in an area where like I just said, I have internet providers. I even have somewhat of competition because there's 2 companies, not just one. But it's like an obvious choice. One is way better than the other. And the only way, if the internet provider that I have now just said, okay, we're going to charge you $600 a month for your internet service, and we only offer one package. The only thing I could do would be like go to Starlink. Like I have no competitive advantage. I have no consumer advantage.
Yeah, exactly. You'd have to gather up everyone in the entire area and all simultaneously quit or cancel your service. And that'll never happen.
Yeah, exactly.
It'd be like herding cats.
So that's why I researched. Starlink. That's why I was curious about it. I don't think it's worth me switching, but it's good to know that that's something I could do if I really felt
there is an option.
I needed
out
to
there,
get out. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, so yeah, net neutrality still a thing. Don't forget about it, people. I think the next thing I might research on that subject is like who out there is trying to keep up that fight of trying to somehow solidify this in a way that we don't have to keep reaffirming it. Yeah. Or maybe it's just that's never a thing. It's always going to be an option.
Yeah.
That they could possibly change their mind on and be selling us.
Oh, man.
You have to get the podcast
We'll be
package.
doing this podcast in like 35 years and be like, these people keep changing everything.
Yeah. All right, well, I say we round this thing out, but let's get together and do a development episode where we talk about the game you're working on and my Java Spring Boot project that I think is going to change the face of Dungeons and Dragons forever. I'm just kidding. I'm making
kind of like Stranger Things did.
Yeah, hey, that brought a lot of people into it. I'm making something in Java that already exists on the internet, but I'm doing it to learn because I have to learn Java for work. And it's a game-related topic, and I'll give you a little bit of a cliffhanger. I have an idea so what I'm making exists, but I have one additional idea that I could add to it that I think is actually something that doesn't exist and is probably being developed by, is either in development by some other company or it's an idea that I need to do because it would be astonishing if no one's working on this idea. But I'll talk about it. I'll talk about it next episode. So, all right, peace. Thanks for listening. This episode, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, Josh, if this episode there's anything wrong with the audio, like you're not recorded or I'm not recorded, I'm just releasing it. I'm just gonna put it out, and you'll just have to guess. You'll have to listen to the podcast and guess what the other person said.
It's a choose your own adventure podcast.
Yeah, I'm releasing whatever comes out of this. I'm releasing it. So there will be a post, whether it's good or bad. We're yet to know. All right. Well, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week, and peace.
See ya.